when I took over 10 years ago, 35% of our customers had a ktag.
Mm-hmm.
Today, we have just shy of 70%.
So for ktag owners, the price will not change at all?
Actually, it's going to go down. It's exciting to know that this July 1st at 12:01 a.m., we'll have cashless tolling, and people are freaking out that don't have a ktag, and even if they have a ktag. What's that mean for my ktag? So
the Turnpike was initially supposed to pay for itself through customers, and then it was supposed to end at some point.
Take a moment to breathe, grab a beverage or two. We got professional guests with lots of stories for you. So take a seat right here and join us on Careers Over Beers.
Welcome back to Careers Over Beers podcast. I'm the host, Jesse Krause. Thank you all so much for tuning in and listening. It means the world to me. Today I have a special guest on that works for the Kansas Turnpike Authority, and he's actually the CEO, I believe, right?
that's correct, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead and introduce yourself, sir.
Yeah, Steve Hewitt, and the CEO of the Kansas Turnpike. Been there actually I'll be there 10 years in June, so almost a decade now.
Wow. And how did that all start?
Yeah, it's a funny story. I like to say that I kind of have the American dream, a small town kid from western Kansas. Didn't know what I wanted to do. I've always been a communicator and did communications. I grew up in Pratt out there, and went to Fort Hays State. Not to go too far back, but anyway. So long story short, got into Parks and Rec. I love sports. I love to talk to people. Always been that way. Then I bounced around a couple different cities doing Parks and Rec stuff, and then I worked for city managers, and I thought I can do what that guy does.
Yeah.
So I was in Oklahoma City area. I jumped from Pratt to Kansas City to Oklahoma City, and so I want to be a city manager. So my opportunities really were go to a small town or go to a bigger city and be an assistant, or a small town to be a head guy. So I think my ego kind of kicked in. But Greensburg out in western Kansas, it's funny, I actually was born there. My dad lived there, parents divorced. And so he goes, hey, there's a city manager job open here. Small town, get your feet wet, start out. So I said, why not? And of course my wife was like, we're going from Oklahoma City to Greensburg. But her mom and dad lived in Pratt, so she loved that part. But she's like, small town, that's really small.
Was that before the tornado?
It was. The funny thing is, it was 1 year before the tornado.
Oh man.
And so I was a city administrator, so I took the job, and young guy, and boy, trial by fire, right?
Yeah.
So tornado hits a year later, and I learned a lot. I built a lot back. Infrastructure, bureaucracy, everything. So I stayed 5 years and built everything pretty much back about the infrastructure, the buildings, the things government-wise, everything in place. And then by that point, 5 years after, my house was destroyed like everybody else's. I was homeless, and I lived in a FEMA trailer.
You're kidding me.
I lived in a FEMA trailer. We lived there for over 24 months. Until a house was built, we could rent for a little bit.
Man, yeah, that was a bad tornado. That's not just a tornado hitting and destroying some things. Like that one wiped out Greensburg completely.
2 miles wide, wiped out the town.
Yeah.
And so 90% of the town, the very outskirts, were somewhat still usable.
Yeah.
And then built everything back and learned a lot and grew up fast in my career. Then a city in Oklahoma knew of me and asked me, hey, you looking for something different? At that point, I was wore out of that particular job. Great friends, I still in contact with staff there, but it's time for a change. So I went to Oklahoma to be a city manager for 3 years. But it was a bigger city. It was actually Clinton, Oklahoma. I was there for 3 years, and then the Turnpike was making a change. The CEO was retiring. I'd made a lot of friends in multiple areas in engineering, state government, and they were like, what if that Hewitt guy wants to come back? And I was humbled by that.
Yeah.
So I got to come back, and I knew the reputation of the Turnpike, and so so took over in 2014, in June of 2014. Actually, I came in. there was a guy in an interim position, so I came for 6 months to kind of get my feet wet, kind of get the lay of the ground, what's going on here, and then January of 15, I took over as CEO. So it'll be 10 years being there total, but 9.5 almost as CEO. So yeah,
that's quite the journey, dude.
Yeah, it is, and I'm blessed because I feel like I have the best state job. What people don't realize is the turnpike and you're charging people and
right.
all the sales
you
tax.
Hear it all.
Yeah, you hear it all. Yeah, it's the funny thing is people think that we're part of the state. We're actually completely independent.
Yeah.
We're
going to get into that.
Yeah, so
sure.
I'm blessed by the fact that I got there, and it's back in Kansas and family, and I live here in Wichita. I'm up and down the turnpike weekly. I'm in Topeka a lot and other areas, but yeah, it's been a journey to get here, and I survived the tornado, learned a lot, went to Oklahoma, in Oklahoma, I dealt with a major drought. I had to completely redo the water system. So people don't realize the things you have to do, but that really set me up to manage the day-to-day, what we do in the turnpike now.
Do you pay on the turnpike?
I actually have a non-revenue ktag, which means they don't make any money off me. I get to travel the turnpike.
You're one of the lucky few.
I'm one of the lucky few. Yeah. So,
should we get into these drinks real quick?
Yeah, I would love to have a drink. So yeah.
So you requested Maker's Mark, whiskey guy.
I've become a whiskey guy the last couple years.
Yeah.
And, maybe COVID turned that way. That was a challenging time.
Well, it's a very CEO boss like drink to have, right? It's have a glass of whiskey and let's talk,
Yeah, and it's funny because it's just, I don't know. Beer actually messes with my allergies. So what am I going to drink? So yeah, let's do something different.
I do understand that, man.
So I'm strong enough to get this thing open here. So
got some ice balls here. I know you said water too. Did you want some water to top it off, or you just whiskey on ice?
I'll drink it clean. I won't complain for clean.
We can get some water if you need. You need some. But I like it both ways,
I think
too.
my challenge is getting the ball out.
Whiskey's definitely one of my favorites as well. I enjoy it a lot.
Well, and I'm not a educated man when it comes to whiskey, but I'm trying to get that way. So I'm trying to got my collection up to 30 different bottles. Absolutely, thank you. And so I'm trying to learn about.
You're trying to get into it.
Yeah, trying to get into it. So I'm and learn a little bit more about it. I'm trying to really definitely learn about the Kansas stuff. My son's name's Gunner, and I've learned from Sedan, Kansas. They've got a Gunnar whiskey that I've been trying. So it's learning more about local. Obviously the local here in Wichita distillery, and I'm learning.
And Boot Hill, I know, has one. Out there
I like the Red Eye from Boot Hill. I like that drink a lot.
I'm a big bourbon guy myself, and most bourbons, if it's actual bourbon, it's supposed to be made in Kentucky.
Supposed to be, right?
So it's just kind of like craft beer. It's exploded. I mean, look at a liquor store now and go to the whiskey section. It's I feel like back in the day you had Jim Beam, Jack Daniels.
Yeah.
And now it's crazy.
It's everything, right? I don't know. Maybe it's a fad, but I get emails from. I got into this the investment of whiskey has been better than the stock market, and the stock market's been good the last few years.
Oh yeah.
So the more rare type of whiskeys obviously have really exploded in price, and some of it's pretty darn expensive. So I look at it on the shelf do I want to drink? But I don't want to. I'm afraid that's so expensive. Do I want to drink it or not? So it just sits on my shelf.
But for show.
Yeah, but then little stuff like Buffalo Trace isn't that expensive, but it's hard to find.
Oh yeah, it's impossible to find.
I really like it.
Same with Wellers. I don't know if you drink Wellers.
I've got some rye, and so
some good stuff too.
Yeah, but I'm definitely a bourbon whiskey guy. So it's in. So yeah.
Well, Maker's Mark.
Absolutely.
I love it. Big fan. Yeah. So cheers, sir.
Yeah. But yeah, appreciate that. Boy.
Ooh, delicious.
What a
smooth.
Now this is a podcast, right? So I mean, to do a little, you can't have too much now because you got to make sure you present the right message. And
well, that's totally up to you.
Well, true.
What's the point that you hit?
It wouldn't be I guess it wouldn't be as entertaining if I didn't
Some
have
people
a
need this to start talking, but you seem to talk just fine.
Oh yeah, that's probably gift of gab is probably
gift of gab is perfect for a podcast.
Yeah, probably so. And it's funny, I do a little internal podcast just in our own because I'm so spread out, So to get everybody in the state along the turnpike, hey, here's what's going on, and I interview different department heads or different folks that work with us, and so. But I do like to tell our story. So thanks for allowing
Thank
me
you
to
so
be
much
here
for
today.
coming on.
Yeah.
It's an honor to have you on here.
And I've been becoming a fan. I'm like, I really was digging the country singer guy. I've always forgot his name. But
Cody Howe.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that interesting. You know,
He's a fun dude. He's a fun
yeah.
dude. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, all the good. I love what you're doing here.
He actually left me a hat too.
That's
Do you
good.
want it?
There you go.
Yeah, he gave us some extras.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let's just get back into it.
Sure.
I guess. I mean, a lot of people don't really understand the Turnpike. Probably. I mean, I'm sure you hear all the complaints and see all the chatter online and comments and stuff. So,
listen, so because of that, I think it's important that we're transparent. That's why I'm doing this. And that and one of the key things, I think, we want to be affordable, and we want to be reliable and safe. And one of the things we've really done the last 10 years is listen to customers. And because, nobody wants to pay extra. They feel like it's an extra. I already pay my taxes, and why do I pay a turnpike? And we don't receive your taxes, and people don't realize that. So it's telling that message. But we want to make sure we're listening. We're providing good information. So we try to push out a lot of our story, because telling that story, I think people want to trust you and trust your organization doing the right thing. So it's from projects to operations. We want to get out there.
Yeah, and the history of the Turnpike goes back to the 40s or 50s, I believe.
Yeah, so it's a good story. So 53, the legislature created it. Obviously, in the early 50s, they were lobbying for a road pre-interstate. So before interstates were pushed, so they wanted to connect the three largest cities, and actually the state chamber was truly pushing it, but the legislature didn't want to put a burden on taxpayers. So they said, well, if you do this, you'd sell bonds, and they created legislation so you could go get bonds, build this turnpike, connect Wichita, Topeka, Kansas City. They were going to obviously connect in Oklahoma City, but Oklahoma would have to they were going to eventually bring something up north, and they eventually did. But yeah, and that's how it was created and a big push. And so it was something to keep it off the burden of taxpayers, but yet serve the needs of they wanted to be a growing state, not be left behind.
Yeah. And
so they had the foresight, hey, let's do something. And so they went out and sold bonds. And what's unbelievable is we opened the doors in 56, in October of 56, and it took 22 months to build. I couldn't even get permits in 22 months today.
Oh, I know. Isn't it crazy how they used to do things?
Yeah, and it was funny because the story is as we were buying right away, it was just barely ahead of construction as we're letting projects, getting contractors, as they're just barely staying ahead of everything and trying to figure the route out as they go. And so, but they had the foresight and strength to push it through. And so here we are today.
Man, they did things a lot different back then. I mean, I've talked with people before, like my dad, about like all the lakes we have, Cheney Lake or Table Rock Lake or wherever it's at in the States. Like, there's not ever a new lake anymore. You can't even get approval for it.
Yeah, I don't think there's been a reservoir for water built since the 70s.
They just used to do stuff back then, and they'd push it through. I mean, imagine trying to build a lake now.
Well, unless it's an absolute emergency, I'm just like, so they'll push permits through for like that Baltimore bridge that was hit.
Yep.
They'll make that happen quick, but just for standard ongoing, it's just so it's
tough.
a struggle to
a lot
get
of hoops
permit.
to jump through.
Yeah, and the money it's outrageous. Costs are just so. The Kansas River Bridge was redone. That's in Lawrence area, and that bridge cost $110 million. About 15 years ago, that was more than the entire turnpike cost. Entire turnpike was like $105 million. It's like,
really,
yeah, it's crazy because it's just the stories, and there's some wise tales. Who knows what's true? Like guys sat around a table, probably drinking whiskey, and they're drawing on a napkin where the route's going to be.
Yep.
So, but they got it done.
Here, let's just do this.
Yeah, let's do this. But they got it done.
And then cutting through people's private property. How does that work? Is that eminent domain?
Well, it's first. What they first started with is just going. They had guys out in front just saying making deals. just making deals
Just
with
asking farmers
Yep,
if it's cool if they do
Yep,
this.
and we'll pay so much money. And there was a few. There wasn't that many, but there was a few that went to condemnation and go to court and had to negotiate pricing. But they made a lot of deals. Funny, they made a lot of deals like, hey, we're going to put a bridge here so that you can make sure to get your implements and cattle underneath the turnpike to the other side of your property, or a bridge in that county so that we make sure we can drive over back and forth. The 2 or 3 county big farmers, we need that, So they had to make a lot of those deals. So those bridges or overpasses type of, well, not really an overpass, but create a bridge for the landowner. So it was a lot of that.
But
but
it seems like a nightmare going out and trying to do that because there's going to be stubborn people.
Oh yeah. Well, we run into some things, and we have to get a little bit of right of way today for a temporary right of way to expand a bridge or drainage issue. We have to go talk to those landowners, and they, for generations, they're still heartburn from the 50s. Well, you pushed this through in the 50s. My grandpa told me this or that. And there's still some of that out there, and we respect that. And it's sensitive, and they don't want to work with you because they're frustrated. And I don't know, maybe it was frustrating. They pushed it through, and the pressure of that. But in the end, it was really important for Kansas to have this interstate.
Definitely. I mean, nothing's ever going to get done if you want to do a project like this, things have to happen, sacrifices have to be made. What else are you going to do?
Yeah, and you have to be, listen, if you're going to have innovation, you sometimes have to be willing to deal with the negative. And you're going to have some people say no and be frustrated with you, be mad at you. Well, if you don't want to deal with that, then don't get in the business. Do something different.
Those people probably drive the turnpike too. I mean, without that, you have county roads. Right.
County roads are simple state 2-lane highways. You would have to eventually do it, but it needed to be done, and it was the chamber understood it, the legislature understood it, but it was painful, I'm sure, but successful. I mean in the end, it's been a very successful road. We're independent, and it's funny because people don't realize that 50% of our traffic comes from out of state, because Kansas City, we have a destination for hunting and fishing and some nice things to look at, but we're not beachfront property, right? We don't have ocean or mountains, so a lot of people travel through us, and so half of the folks that are paying for the turnpike come from out of state. So that's a big thing. So not all Kansans are paying for it. So we get a lot of out-of-staters help pay for that turnpike, and so we tell that story. But also, 12% of the Kansas economy goes right through our roadway.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
that's crazy.
It's a big economic freight line for freight to move, and so it's important.
Yeah, right in the middle
for goods and services.
I mean, that's why they always say we're like one of the hubs for drug trafficking and human trafficking, because we're right in the middle of the U.S. You go straight up from Mexico all the way, and then you can tee off to Denver, to St. Louis.
Right. So we're 35 up to the I-70 change, and so I-70 going through us from Topeka to Kansas City, or all the way down to Oklahoma, from Texas it comes in. Yeah, we fight that a lot, and we know with our troop. That's a good story too. I love to tell. Is like we have our dedicated highway patrol troop. I pay for everything. I don't even let state funds pay for them. I pay for their salaries, their cars, their bullets, their vests, everything, right? But so we get a lot of information, and there's drug trafficking, human trafficking. It's a big deal, and so they're always fighting that for sure. It's part of it.
Yeah, it's a growing problem, and unfortunately, the cops too. Do you guys let them have passes and all that stuff so they can come up and sit there and patrol and all that? Or
so we actually have substations. We have a main station here in Wichita, and the substations all along the turnpike for them to stop in and do some work. But they have a pass so they can. What we try to do is any law enforcement close to the turnpike. If you're an officer and you have a uniform or a marked car, we'll let you go for free if you promise that if there's somebody that needs help or something, you're willing to help. Right. And they of course they will. That's always good for helping. Folks that are broken down or there's issues or service areas, all those kind of things. So it's nice to have dedicated officers or folks that we want to let them come on the turnpike. Don't come on, help us. If you're going to drive to Topeka from Wichita because you got a meeting and you're in a cop car, and we don't mind. If you see a motor issue, would you please call us or help them or something? That's all we're asking.
Yeah. And going back to how it was introduced and everything, it's like, a lot of people do complain about having to pay tolls, or I can't believe they're taking more of our money with, when we pay taxes, like you mentioned earlier. They might say, well, I pay taxes, but they don't realize it's all independent of that. And it was a way for them to keep the tax burden off of you. Like, if you use it, you pay. If you don't, you don't. You don't pay if you don't use it.
Because of that, because you pay, I know that my philosophy has been, it's a premium to you. So I want it affordable, I want it safe, I want it reliable, as I mentioned earlier, but I just want it to be a good experience for you. So, from our service areas to the maintenance, to the road, how smooth it is, to the safety and everything, I want it to be a good experience because you're paying for it, right? So I'm a business. And so, like, I listened to your is it your Uncle Kraus or something from the grocery store?
Oh yeah.
So I watched that podcast a little bit and I was like, if you have a good business, you got to have affordable, good product. You treat people well, they come back to you, right? Same thing for us. It doesn't matter if we're selling groceries or roadway. Everybody's on us as a user and a customer, and so we don't call them necessarily travelers. They're customers. I mean, you're a customer, and we care about you.
You're providing a premium highway service,
absolutely.
Basically.
And so it's a service, and so we want to make sure that you like that service, and we're listening and making adjustments for our customers.
Yeah, and I respect the hell out of that. I think there's a lot of people out there, there's a disconnect that they don't understand. They don't, you know what I'm saying? They don't know what you're talking about right now. They just think it's there and you have to keep paying for it. And when you know the story behind it, it all makes sense. And you wouldn't complain about any other premium service, If you want to have no ads on YouTube, you pay for their premium service.
Right. I think that's a good analogy because, it is a premium. There's other ways to get around. You can get around the turnpike.
Exactly.
You don't have to use it. It'll take you longer. It won't be as quite a good experience. I may not be even as safe coming these 2-lane little county roads or highways.
Right.
So yeah, it's I like I've got my cable service, but I want an advanced. I want more out of it, or something. I'm going to buy the premium. Well, we're the premium package, and so there's roads for you to take, but we try to give you that nicer. And what are you getting for it? We'll give you something good, hopefully.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of that, I've heard a lot of people tell me over time that the turnpike was initially supposed to pay for itself through customers, and then it was supposed to end at some point. And people always say, well, that was supposed to be gone years ago,
Yeah.
But I'm sure with maintenance and all that, you can probably touch more on that.
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up. That's always brought up, and that's a bit of a wise tale. There is a mechanism if we ever would pay all the bonds off, and so say, well, since the 50s, you ain't paid the bonds off? Well, the problem is that everything – you keep having more and more projects because you got to maintain it, right?
Of course.
So if we pay the bonds off, then we go back to KDOT, Kansas Department of Transportation. They take it over, and they can do what they want to with it. The thing is, they don't want it because it's now 236 miles and 1,000 lane miles that they have to take care of with tax dollars. So it pulls away from their system. So one of the things we do, and we always have projects, and so we have $85 million in debt, and we have a big project coming up in the future to expand our I-70 to, we've got some 6-lane and some 4-lane.
Really?
We want it to all get the 6-lane because just there's so much traffic, a ton of traffic, much more than down here in Wichita from to Topeka to Kansas City.
Yeah.
It's really a heavy corridor. So we're going to expand that, but that's going to cost us $400 or $500 million. So we're going to have to get some money for that. And so, over time, things keep adding up, so you still have more debt. So we just, again, I think if we do a good job, we're transparent, we understand that, it's probably not going to go back to – now the legislature could always come in and pass a bill saying we're going to pay your bonds off and take you over. But one of the key things is it would cost – I produce about $140 million a year. We have jobs. We have a premium. We put the jobs right back in the community. It's not going to out of state.
Yeah.
And we don't put a burden on the taxpayer at all. And I think that's why the state sees that it's working.
Yeah.
And it's worked for almost 70 years. So if it's working for 70 years, that business doesn't need to be part of our state system.
And it makes total sense to me once again because you can't just pay off a highway and that's it and now we're done. I mean,
right.
There's always repairs being done. There's always things going on with it. You're always looking to expand or improve. you can't just say, all right, that's it. You know, we paid it off. It's finally time. I mean,
you know, and people don't realize. So I got about 300 full-time employees from the Oklahoma border all the way to Kansas City. We've got 9 different maintenance locations. We're split about 35 miles apart, so we try to keep you that area that crews in and really take care of that road. So I have more people per capita taking care of the roadway than KDOT does. KDOT's got 10,000 miles of lane miles, and they've got X amount of people, and it's hard to take care of everything. And so they know, and this is not against KDOT because, I mean, they do a great job, but it's just a little different. And so I think there's an expectation that you get a really good roadway, and we understand that. And so then again, my board, because I have a board, I actually have an authority board, and it's actually made up, and people don't realize this, so it's made up of 2 at-large members that are appointed by the governor, the Secretary of Transportation, and then the Senate House Chairman of Transportation, and the Senate and the House Transportation Chairman. So that makes 5. And so they oversee it like a city or like any kind of board of directors, and they hire me to day-to-day. But they all have a great philosophy. Hey, great system, but keep it affordable. Because if it would get too expensive, I could see the state going, wait a second, you guys don't need to be sitting on all this cash. What do you do with all that money you're making? We need to put it back in the roadway. We need to be humble. We need to be prudent. Yeah. You know, it's still a public money. It's not necessarily state tax dollars, but it's public money. We post our audit on. Everybody knows what it is to the state, and everybody knows to the public.
It's all public knowledge.
Yeah, it's public knowledge, right? So we got to be smart and really understand that that people are looking, and they should look, and that we offer a great product because, and that way those rumors or those issues that come up like they should be paid off. Well, this is why it's not. And that's why I'm saying today, right? So here's why it's not, and I hope you understand. And you might disagree.
No, I do agree with you. It's a living, breathing project. You can't just pay it off. What are you going to do maintenance-wise?
I totally agree, right? So then KDOT's got to deal with, they got to come up, and they probably wouldn't be able to put 140 because they lose all the revenue.
It's all government funded.
Right. So, but I'll put that right back in the roadway, from people to projects. I want to, and over the last 10 years, we've spent about $700 million in improvements. Yeah. And so we're making it better.
Which is an act of Congress, literally, for the state to do something like that with their highways.
Well, they've got so many bills and so many areas and so many. Everybody wants so many dollars and so many different. So the states beg. For like the state transportation are begging for their dollars. Well, education wants money, and
exactly
human health wants money.
You're putting it back in politicians' hands versus somebody like you, who this is your entire business model.
It is a business model.
You can focus totally on this,
and that's our mission, to run it like a business, and I think that works.
I think it does. Yeah, it makes total sense to me. Have you guys had any trouble up there with the wildfires in the Flint Hills right now, speaking of maintenance and stuff?
Well, we don't have any problems right now, and I will say the farmers communicate really well with us. We try to warn people, give people updates, and we'll put our staffs out and provide the warnings and stuff. But it is always an issue. This time it's real dry. So Flint Hills they do obviously they do their own burning, but then obviously when it's dry like this, you'll run into burning, obviously just from how dry it is. So it gets to be a challenge with the wind sometimes in the Flint Hills, so you have to watch that pretty well.
I can imagine it would be. What do you think your biggest threat is as far as nature on your roads?
Oh, water's always a big issue.
Flooding.
I mean, we've worked really hard. I put in I think we put in about $40+ million in drainage updates since I've been here 10 years ago. So over the years, there have been some tragedy of drainage because the road was built standards 65 years ago. Yeah. And so standards have changed today. And so we've really tried to update, increase our culverts and our drainage areas and to handle more water, especially in the Flint Hills, where it comes running off those hills and it can create flooding in some of those creeks, especially I know Jacobs Creek's always an issue.
I think I remember that one. There was a pretty bad one where
early 2000s,
heavy rains. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
it was like that 200-year storm. Well, it's Kansas. You're going to have those, right?
Yeah, you never know.
But we had a few years ago. We had some down south, had some flooding, a creek, and so it washed our road out for a little bit. 24 hours, had it back up and running. But so flooding, Mother Nature is just. She is what she is sometimes.
I know. And, I can't avoid it.
Tornadoes or flooding, right? So there's always something. Or
snow.
So, and winter's always an issue. So, we've had mild winters the last 10 years compared to, like, when I was a kid. Felt like a lot more snow and ice. But
That's what they all say.
It feels like that, but they have been fairly mild. But technology is better. We use a brine mechanism, so we don't put sand on the road. We put salt and a brine mix. It's funny because we use beet juice.
Really?
Yeah, beet juice, which allows the liquid to handle colder temperatures.
Kind of like salt does.
Yeah, it's with salt. It's a salt mix brine, but you add beet juice to it, and it helps stick there, and it helps lower temperatures. So, but sometimes, well, it's going to be red, but it's colored with other stuff as well, you know. But yeah, so it goes out there, and so we try to pre-treat, and so to help with the moisture that comes out. But then we have plows. Yeah, our guys. Listen, guys, I always try to give my guys an appreciation every spring because. A long winter. It's always a long winter. Cold temperatures, long nights.
Not an easy job because you can't predict when it's coming.
It always feels like storms hit on the weekend. So I got a bunch of overtime and guys
Saturday,
are out.
Sunday.
And the guys are out and they're cranky, but they know their job and I appreciate them. They get out there and they do it. So yeah, winter's always, it is what it is. KDOT deals with it, cities deal with it. What we try to obviously, when we don't want folks stranded and those kind of things. So we want to. We watch that, if you're in the Flint Hills all by yourself, so there's those kind of things. One of the things that we try to do, I got safety assist. I got, guys up in north and south that running the turnpike all the time, making sure they're checking on people. But we also have a 24-hour dispatch. So if you're on the turnpike, as a public service announcement, and something happens to you, you dial star KTA. It goes to a 24-hour dispatch, so we'll get an engine out there, an ambulance out there. We'll get a maintenance guy out there. We'll get a trooper out there. We've got a 24-hour. So we want to make sure we're handling our information, our people, our roadway 24 hours a day.
That's interesting. I never knew that. Star KTH or Star
KTA, yeah.
Scar. Why do I keep saying Scar?
Well,
Star KTA.
Yeah, Star KTA,
okay. Yeah.
And
that's interesting.
You can get a dispatch person, and we'll help you. We'll answer any of your questions. Funny, and they answer everything. I don't know how to pay my toll. Hey, I'm stranded. I ran out of gas. I had a blown tire. I'm in an accident. I rolled off the road. Whatever it might be, we'll get somebody out there to help you.
Well, speaking of paying tolls, let's divert right into that now because the big thing coming this year is cashless tolls.
Right. So one of the things we've done a lot of customer surveys, as I mentioned earlier, and all our customers keep coming back to us. Hey, listen, other states have this don't stop at a toll booth. Can we just free flow? We like your ktag system, but you still got to slow down, go through a special lane. And so getting feedback from the customers. When I took over 10 years ago, 35% of our customers had a ktag. Mm-hmm. Today, we have just shy of 70%.
Yeah, I tell everybody, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, you save money, you save time.
Yeah.
But still wanting to really keep the flow of traffic. So we looked at customers' feedback. Number two, it was the right time for a number of reasons. So number one, we have an aging equipment in the toll booth. So to put money in older equipment to try to rehab that or put something in, and that's not where tolling is really going around the country, didn't make a lot of sense. And also we had our toll collectors on. People love toll collectors. We all do. They've been the lifeblood of the agency since the beginning. But 70% of them would be at retirement age by now. And then we knew, well, the other 30%, we can probably get them in other customer service jobs because it's going to change a little bit, like call center and expansion and those kind of things. It was perfect timing for staffing. So with that combination, we had some money in the bank. We had some money as things were going with traffic's been good. So you know what? Let's invest in and let's improve it. So, and we did some customer surveys that said, hey, 85% of our customers want to see cashless tolling. They approve of it. They want to see it. Well, 85%, I mean, that's a big deal. Yeah. So between that and the fact money, and it's safer, you're not slowing down at the toll booth. Mm-hmm. You can keep moving. It's less expensive long-term, better for operational expenses long-term. Human capital is very expensive over time. We can be more efficient, which keeps tolls low and meet the customer need and experience. Wow, let's make the change. So we've been working on it for 5-6 years now, and it's exciting to know that this July 1st at 12:01 a.m. we'll have cashless tolling. And people are freaking out that don't have a ktag, and even if you have a ktag, what's that mean for my ktag? So I'll sum it up real easy. If you have a ktag, nothing changes. not hardly anything changes. It's just keep moving. I'll bill your ktag like I always have. If you are a non-ktag customer, I'm going to take a picture of your license plate. I'm going to look you up. If you want to go online early and pay or download our apps, our app, driveks.com, and our app that's coming out, you can do that. Or I'll send you a bill in the mail and just pay it. Now, it's going to be, you'll save 50% by having a ktag. You'll save more because I save money. I don't have the staffing issues trying to find you and look you up and wait for you to pay me. I've got your ktag. So I'm going to give that savings to ktag customers.
Yeah,
but if you don't have a ktag, it costs me more to find you, send you a bill, wait for you to mail me a check. So there's that. So that's also an incentive. Hey, get a ktag. But we're excited about that. And what people are like, well, they're seeing all these infrastructure things popping up, and what's that mean? So what it really means is today you from the toll booth to the next toll booth, that's one trip. You're still going to have that. But you'll see these big silver gantries on the roadway. They have cameras.
I've already seen some of them.
Cameras and readers for the ktag, cameras for the license plate, and you'll go underneath a zone, which zone is basically from an exit to an exit. So same kind of concept. When you see your bill, instead of one trip, you went through multiple zones. It'll now say that one trip, let's say from Wichita to Emporia, you went through 7 different zones. But it's going to be the same kind of concept. So bill your ktag at that rate. Or if you don't have it, we'll send you a bill in the mail.
Okay, so instead of like getting on at this entry into the highway, here's a toll, and then you're going to get off and there's another toll. It's just all zoned out along the highway. Okay.
But those zones are really based on the exits, right? So as soon as you get on, you'll see a quick gantry from that entry location or exit because that was designated for that location. So then it's to the next location. So why was there one here? Well, because either you're just past it or just about to go to another exit or entry location.
That makes sense. Yeah.
But same concept, but just you do a zone and it'll say on there, zone 50. Well, that means we know how to. So that's based on your mile mark. That's just for us. So if you want to say, hey, I was at Wichita Webb Road exit, you can say that to us if you call and ask. If you have issues, call and ask, or you can say 50. We know exactly where you're at from a standpoint based on the sign or the zone on the mile marker.
Okay, yeah, I got you. So for ktag owners, the price will not change at all?
Well, that's a good question too. Actually, it's going to go down.
It's going to go down.
Yeah, it's funny. The board, we went through this whole thing and they said, you know what, we're going through a big change here and it's going to be more convenient, but at the beginning it can be a little hectic and nerve-wracking because it's change, right? So the board said, you know what, we'd like to lower the tolls and have the lowest tolls of any system like this in the country and pass it on to our customers so they'll know the change and thank you for dealing with the change with us. And so it's going down even cheaper.
Wow.
And so it'll be 4.8 cents a mile based on your mile, how many miles you go. And you're probably like, 4.8, how do you get 4.8 cents out of somebody? Well, after you go through all the zones, when you wrap that up, if it's not an even number, just round up to the nickel there. So, but it's the cheapest in the country. And then
is it really?
It will be.
Because I hear stories all the time of people on the West Coast or the East Coast, New Jersey, whatever, and they're like, man, I paid $100 in toll fees. And I'm like, what? I don't even how many times do I have to drive to the Kansas Turnpike?
Yeah.
From Oklahoma to Nebraska.
Oh my gosh!
To rack
236 miles times 5 cents, basically, right?
Yeah.
If you take easy math, but 4.8 is what my marketing people say. Don't say 5 cents; it's 4.8. But I just, from a standpoint of easy math,
yeah.
But it's it's just well. Here's the thing. I mean, we understand where we're at. We're in the Midwest, affordable state. We understand. We've got to be affordable, and we've got an older road, so we have an established road. So we've done a nice job financially over 70 years, so we can offer low toll. But you're right, East and West Coast is a different animal.
I heard it's a nightmare. I've never really driven it. But.
Yeah, there's some, and they, someone like Jersey, Virginia. Wow, there's some like $20 tolls for 3-4 miles. It's stupid stuff.
Insane.
I don't know, but people take it because they want to get around quicker, right?
Yeah.
So, but we want everybody to be able to use the turnpike. So, and it'll be 13.8 cents for like a truck. Mm-hmm. So trucks put a little bit more wear and tear on the road, so they pay a little bit more, obviously. But again, for both commercial and passenger traffic, we'll have the lowest in the country. Right now, we're about the third lowest in our current system. But the board wants to say, hey, listen, we want to say thank you to our customers. And so, yeah, we're excited about that. We're excited to say, hey, we're the cheapest and the best. Can't say that too often.
Yeah.
You know, and obviously over the years, it'll creep back up based on what things cost. But we still want to maintain some of the lowest tolls in the country at all times, and hopefully we can say the lowest.
Well, cheers to that. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a fun one.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I'm always.
I was expecting the opposite, almost. You know.
Well, here's the thing. Long term, this is more efficient.
Yeah.
I don't have the human capital. I don't have the infrastructure of the toll booth. Things are going to get more efficient. It's a bell curve where we have our initial cost. We're going to spend $100 million to install this when it's all said and done.
I've seen some of them already, yeah. But it only makes sense to go in that direction.
Now we pay it off, but see, now it'll go, efficiency will start to kick in. And we're trying to figure out what we need day one, how many call folks in our call center, and how many people we confuse and how we deal with that. But it'll calm down. We'll figure out what we need, and we'll be very efficient. And long term, it's a way to keep tolls low and still provide a great customer service to everybody.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, like I said, it only makes sense. And you answered a lot of my questions I had already, because I was wondering, like, employee-wise, what does this mean for you guys with getting rid of all the toll workers and everybody? But
we're sensitive
you
to
said
that.
70% are retirement age, so it's not really that big of a deal.
Well, they would say it is a big deal, the 30%. But here's the thing: what we did 5 years ago when we announced it, is we said we're putting a workforce transition plan in place. And so what that does is said we're going to educate you, put you to school, train you, at your job shadow, tell you what we're going to do in the future, where you can move. So if you don't want to retire, we want to have a place for you to go.
Right.
And nearly everybody's got their plan. There's a couple collectors are not sure what they want to do. They want to go to this customer service location. Do they want to do this? Do they want to do that? And so they're trying to figure it out. But we almost have everybody placed, and that's really exciting because we did really care. It's sensitive. And I know online, and we've heard all the horror stories. People, oh, you're getting rid of all these people. Well, it was a really good plan. And I want to apologize for that plan, because we let them know 5 years ago we're moving towards this, and we want to make sure you've got a place with us if you want to be with us. And a lot of them are like, I'm going to retire. Great. Love it. Perfect. Way to go out. Others are saying, hey, I do want to stick around a couple more years. You know, I just got a year or two left, or I've got 5 years left. Okay, let's find you a place.
Yeah.
Let's get you in our call center, or they've gone to IT, they've gone to maintenance, they've gone to other areas.
Right, because there's other jobs now opening up that you didn't have
exactly.
before.
We have new jobs opening.
Yeah.
And so we have a whole new call center in Topeka, and we're going to add a bunch in, and we're going to build one in Lawrence. And so we have jobs coming for those collectors that want to. Now, what you run into sometimes are the jobs get full in Wichita, and I'm in Wichita. Where do I need to go? So
right.
We have a couple that are trying to figure out where can I go and live in, like Wellington or El Dorado. Do I want to drive into Wichita, or do I want to drive to Emporia? So those are the kind of things you run into. But you know, we're almost there, and I'm excited. So, and there may be a few just say, you know what, I'm just going to go find something else, and that happens, right?
Right.
But we want to at least offer a program, so if you want to stay with us, you could stay with us.
Right. And that's nice of you to do. And like you said, it was about the perfect time. I mean, you're not going to get much better than 70% of your workforce almost ready to retire.
It was the perfect timing.
That's kind of crazy.
I'll be honest with you, pretty lucky.
Yeah.
You know, because you run into, I need to make some efficiency changes, but then what do we do with all these employees? There's not enough places to put them. So we were really lucky that the retirement age stuff was in place to do it. So,
well, yeah. So, you know, ktag, license plates. Obviously, you're gonna have more people trying to look people up by their license plate, like you said. But I was wondering, what happens if somebody's license plate isn't visible, or it's too dirty or something? How do you guys work that out?
Yeah, so we call that leakage. Sometimes you just don't get them.
You just can't have it.
You just don't get it.
Yeah.
You know, that's going to happen. So our goal is to be as efficient as possible to find out but here's what we do. So we have an automated readers. They'll read it, and does it immediately say, hey, this is a Kansas tag, ABC 123, clearly states it's and you can tell it's a white Chevy. So we know, they look that up, it's a white, and someone says, yep, that's right. But if say one or two letters, or one or two numbers are covered up, can't tell, then it's going to a human person to try to figure it out. So, hey, I got an A and a B, can't tell what the next one is. I got a 1, 2, what's the next one? But it is a white Chevy. So then all of a sudden you start doing a little research. We'll have a crew that kind of looks at those and tries to find out and tries to match them up.
Yeah.
And so if we've got enough protocol check marks, then we feel pretty confident this is that person, then we'll send them a bill. Now, sometimes we'll make a mistake. I'll be honest with you. It won't happen that often, but it will. And then, again, when the bill goes out, you'll see the number, call in, say contestant, go, this wasn't me. I wasn't on there. Okay, well, we had a bit of a tough time reading with that plate, and so it wasn't you, so we'll just wipe that out. So we'll have some, and then they'll have some that we can't ever read. And it could be a snowstorm. It can be mud on the. It could be
a James Bond type dude that's clicking a button and his license plate spins.
It's so funny because I've not really seen that here in Kansas, but we know the East and West Coast. There are people that absolutely do that.
I've heard of like reflector covers or weird covers that distort it from like a different angle.
Yep. So which are illegal, but did the police catch them all and stop them for that? Do they have time to do all that? No. So yeah, we're gonna miss some.
So will this help on crime? You think overall going cashless?
Well, I don't know if it's going to help on crime. We do. So So I'm glad you're asking this because another wise tale is like, oh yeah, now I got all these cameras and stuff. Now you know my speed and now you know where I'm at and blah blah blah. I want everybody to know we don't share your information with anybody. We keep it in house.
Especially insurance companies.
No insurance companies. No police. The only way they would get information that you were on the turnpike is they would take a court order or subpoena.
Yeah, so like a warrant.
Yeah, a warrant. So you're not getting it. We're not giving it.
Yeah.
In fact, if you Jesse, if you say, listen, I have a ktag, but I'm the only one to read my account. Doesn't matter if my wife calls in or my sister calls in. I don't want you to let them know where I'm at, what my information is. I'm not giving it to them. So you have to tell us if you want your wife to know.
Okay.
You see your billing.
Yeah.
So it's that important. We know.
So she knows if I'm going to the casino.
That's right. Exactly. And some people do anything worse than that sometimes, have secrets, but otherwise we support that privacy, and we're not checking your speed. But we will work with law enforcement if that warrant or something comes in, but in special, like if an Amber Alert, if we had an Amber Alert, we have some protocols we could waive that quicker so it can make sure to help with something like that. But otherwise we keep things hush hush.
I think
down.
Everybody can appreciate that.
Right.
There's definitely cases where you need to. If you're withholding information from a human trafficker or from the police, it's like, come on.
Well, absolutely. I mean, we want to help, but we also want to protect the privacy and stuff of customers. And so it's your trip, it's your privacy, your information. So we want to protect it. So folks, I'm not going to send you a speeding bill, even if you're going too fast on a turnpike.
Yeah.
So be it. I hope you're not. Go safe. But if you do, no one's going to know that but you, unless you're caught by a trooper on there. But otherwise, all your information, where you're going, where you've been, no one's going to get that.
Well, let's talk about speed for a little bit. Are you ever going to raise it?
Well, it's funny. We're going through I got a lot of funny things, don't I? I said that right. Ironic, right?
No, I just asked that because everybody's like, I know they've been raised in the past because they were 70 and now they're 75, right?
Yeah. So, well, we are going through a safety assessment right now, and we're looking at other areas that we need to look at all safety aspects of the turnpike. And some of the things we're diving into right now, this is a designed road from the 50s. So some of the curves and some of the things, elevations, they wouldn't do that today. And so some of them are pretty quick and some are pretty fast when you go around. And
you take one to an 80, you're like, woo.
Yeah, and especially like here in Wichita or up in around Topeka, there's some real sharp ones. So I don't, especially in some of those areas, probably wouldn't raise them. There has been requests, and that's a board decision. We're not recommending increasing it. Staff isn't. We think it's appropriate the way it is right now. We're working on some stuff actually to help those curves, like some pavement, like some coating to put on the pavement to help make sure your traction's good on those curves. But we think the speed is where it needs to be. I don't think any reduction either. The board's never had an appetite to reduce it. Every now and then you get somebody who wants to raise it. And I said, well, the folks from Texas don't care anyway. They just, if you're on the turnpike and see a Texas car fly by you, you've got to see that.
They're all going 20 over.
All the time. So
how much authority do you guys actually have in raising it? Can you raise it to 100 miles an hour if you wanted to, or does the state step in at some point?
Well, we could. We have complete statutory authority from the board. The board does. what would probably happen, that would be one of those things where I think legislature might say, you're not being real prudent with some of your decisions, and they might want to pass a bill to try to step in. I hope not.
It would put you in the spotlight where you shouldn't be.
Right, and that's what we don't want to do. But we have a great partnership with KDOT. We converse all the time. We talk about safety items. They come out and can give us some ideas and do some testing with us, and we share information back and forth. And so we try to be prudent and try to be somewhat consistent with what KDOT does. And so with their interstates being 75, I think 75 is a good place for us to stay.
75 is a great place to be. Yeah, I was just kidding earlier. I don't know if I advocate raising it either.
Well,
even though there's times I do, but
I'll be honest with you, you can go 3, 4, 5 over. You know,
you can, yeah.
And no one's gonna,
I asked Trooper Ben about that. He's a Kansas State trooper, and he said that technically anything over is illegal. Right. But he's like, if it going 10 over in a 75 is a lot different than going 10 over in a 30.
Well, if you keep it under 10 over, then it won't affect your insurance. The legislature passed that, so you're good there. So if you like to go a little bit, you want to take that risk. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I go a couple miles an hour over.
People would call you a liar if you said you didn't.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, who doesn't?
Who doesn't, right? I put on cruise 77 and 78 and just go, you know. Now I don't want to be too high. That wouldn't be appropriate for the CEO of Kansas Turnpike. Get a ticket going 83.
Get a ticket going 20 over.
Yeah, that wouldn't be smart. But nevertheless, but plus I catch myself kind of just. I'm always kind of evaluating the roadway. Now I'm not an engineer, but I see something odd or something I want to let my team know.
Well, of course, yeah.
So
I mean, kind of being the boss, you're probably looking at the thing the entire time.
Yeah, I'm always doing something. So, but nevertheless, I think we're probably good where we're at right now.
So does that mean you could actually abolish the speed limit too if you wanted to?
Yeah, they actually could. I mean, that is how strong the statute is.
Go Autobahn on it?
Yeah, and I believe, when they opened the Turnpike, they did that. It kind of was at the discretion.
For real?
Yeah, back in the 50s,
wow.
yeah. They changed that. It's been up and down over the years, but they first opened it up. It was kind of that to entice folks to use it, right? And the funny thing is, they didn't get many people use it at the beginning. They really struggled. And
because people were probably like, pay to go on a road,
and this and that, and just going pretty much, you just got to go to Wichita to Kansas City, Topeka versus you couldn't go to Oklahoma City, because that road wasn't done yet for a number of years later. So so those challenges for sure were there. So, but I think it's funny, those old stories. They did whatever they wanted for a while, and they still kind of do. And we actually have a 7-member board, and I think it changed back. 30, 40 years ago, but now we have a 5-member board. But I think they can do what they want to do.
That's crazy to me. I would think that there'd be some legal boundaries when it comes to speed, with like getting rid of it or even going up to like triple digits.
Public opinion is what I think gets you. I just think enough people would probably be nervous about that.
Oh yeah,
it's just
my grandma's too nervous to drive the highways. Period. She just takes back roads everywhere.
Yeah, well,
she's not used to it. But
my wife doesn't like drive at night. So she's sure heck not going to speed too much. So, but I think Turnpike's it's a good speed where it's at. But we could do a lot.
That's crazy.
It's just you got to be careful what you can do, because then that brings the spotlight on you. You probably don't want on you.
People might think you don't care if people are driving reckless,
Well, if you're really focused on safety, you probably need to make sure you're staying in a lane that fits your mission and your vision. So I think we want to keep it at a prudent pace for sure.
And you probably have experts that tell you what the right thing is for this road, right?
Yep. I've got a number of engineers and consultant engineers that we rely on for constant updates, evaluation, feedback from speed to infrastructure to pavement to all the things that matters. Again, we're doing the safety assessment right now to really dive deep into what we're doing, how we're doing it, and making sure it's safe for everybody.
Yeah. Well, right on. And I know deer's a big problem here too. You guys deal with that?
Oh, well, in fact, I got a story. So in the fall. We're in spring now. Fall, I'm heading down to Wellington to talk to my maintenance guys down there, and it's about 6:30 in the morning, heading down early to have coffee with them. And right by the casino, I drill a buck square on.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and $10,000 in damage to my Tahoe. So it's like, deer is a constant issue. Deer is a big deal. We struggle with that. I mean, and we always will. It's Kansas, and when it gets in the season, it's it's a struggle.
Oh, definitely, yeah. You hear stories all the time. Everybody knows somebody that's hit a deer like that and caused damage to their car.
Yeah. I'm telling you what, that was because man, I had nothing to do. It went behind the car in front of me. I just was kind of coming out of a construction zone, and I was on the left lane, and it passed by the guy in front of me in the right lane, and I just, oh, here we go. And I just drilled it, and I'm lucky enough that I hit it high enough that on my grill that it didn't affect, it didn't go through the radiator.
Really?
Yeah, I got lucky, but it just, I decapitated it, and so the head kind of rolled up the windshield. I felt the click, click, click of the antlers, and I went on to our service area at Belle Plaine and pulled in, looked like, oh my gosh, but I keep driving, so I called it in, and our maintenance guys, they scoop deer off all the time during the season. They scooped it off, and the funny thing, they cut the antlers off and gave them to me.
I was just about to ask that.
Oh yeah,
like, did you keep
like I'm
those
hanging in my basement. It's like, yeah. So yeah, badge of honor of hitting my first deer.
Yeah, if he's going to destroy your truck, you might as well take a token of your own.
Oh
right?
yeah. Oh man, that was terrible. It was bad. So
that's bad stuff. I know people that have. My brother, for example, his car got ran into by a deer. He didn't even hit it. It ran straight into the side of his car.
yeah. Oh, there's so many.
There's no way, nothing you can really do.
Nothing you can do. Right early morning or right at night, evening when the sun's going down. It's such a scary time.
Yeah, especially during that November period. You know,
Yeah.
right during the rut.
It's nerve wracking for sure if you're driving. You got to kind of have your eyes open. But then again, I wasn't going to swerve. Don't swerve, folks. You got to just take it, drill it.
Yeah.
You know, and go on because it's I didn't want to get. I had a semi behind me, and I was afraid I was going to end up being like it's going to hit my radiator and go through it, and I was going to end up like having to slow down. But I was good. Thank goodness, you know.
Man, yeah.
And they got, of course, it just demolished because then everybody kept driving over it.
Just blood and guts smeared across.
Everything. So yeah, they scraped off what they had to, but they saved the antlers.
Just
for me.
becomes a big old meat crane at that point.
Yeah,
you know.
But it is funny. That's Kansas, and it doesn't matter where you're at. It could be anywhere on the turnpike. It's definitely an issue.
Well, there's definitely different challenges when it comes state to state. I mean, I don't know how much you guys work with Oklahoma or Colorado, but they have like the Pike Pass, I think is what they call it, don't they?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that or mentioned that because we're actually interoperable with Pike Pass in Oklahoma and all the Texas passes, NTTA, North Texas, CMRA, Texas. You know,
does Colorado too? Do they work?
So yeah, so right now, all of Oklahoma, all of Texas, in Florida, with one little stretch by Orlando, we're still trying to get on board with. The technology hadn't been upgraded just yet, and we're bringing Colorado on this June. So folks who go skiing, like go to the mountains, that E470 or that on the west side there, so we'll have that in place. So yeah, and we want to continue to work with all the states to try to have your ktag work there or their tags work here. It's just easier. So I have to. We go back to that looking somebody up, right? Well, I want to have that partnership, so I don't have to look them up and find them.
Exactly. Why not?
I'll just charge the agency. I got their tag, and then they'll charge the customer, and we have great files, and we send money back and forth, and it works out great.
Yeah, definitely. I remember the Pike Pass being a thing now that I talk about it because, you know, I traveled to Oklahoma quite a bit, and I've had a ktag forever. I had the old school ktag that was the big
the big box, yeah.
Velcro to my windshield, you know?
Yeah.
And people back then, I would tell them to get it all the time, and they would think it was some kind of crazy thing you had to sign up for. And it's like, no, they'll send you this thing. And
yeah. So 10 years ago, we changed to now you get the little stickers for free. You used to have to give, and when I say free, meaning you have to load it. You give us a bunch of money up front, prepay, right? Now we don't have to prepay. Just put an account on give us your account information, like your bank account or credit card, whatever. Yeah. And we don't charge you anything. So not until you use the turnpike am I charging anything. So people say, well, I only drive the turnpike once or twice a year. Why don't you get a ktag? Well, number one, I want you to save money. Number two, I'm not going to charge anything.
It's not going to cost you anything.
Nothing.
You just got to put the sticker on your windshield. They'll send it to you. You mail it to us, right?
Yep, we'll mail it to you
for free.
Yep.
And it's not some special service you have to pay for. In fact, it's going to be cheaper.
Yeah, and how many cars you got? I'll send you how many ktag you need.
Because I had the old school, and I think back then you did have to pay for it, the big box, you know. But that was a brand new premium service. People hadn't even heard of that. They're like, what? They can see your car drive through, you know.
Yeah.
It's moved a long way really quickly. But I tell everybody now, I'm like, why wouldn't you get one? It just
Yeah, I don't know why you wouldn't. Now, my wife doesn't like, oh, I got to put a sticker on my windshield. I was like, come on, no one's seeing your sticker. She's all about her black Jeep and keep it all blacked out. Like, okay, I'm sorry, but you need to have it in there if you're ever going to travel, right? So, yeah, she didn't like it. And I get those. There's a few folks out there. But, again, if you're ever going to use it, it's a lot easier than having to send you a bill in the mail. And I don't want you to pay that much money.
Yeah.
I don't want you to pay more.
Yeah,
Don't
exactly.
pay more. And just set up a bank account information, and we'll send it to you in the mail.
Yeah. So where do they go to do that exactly?
So you go to myktag.com. You can do all that information there. And also talking about cashless as we go. Anybody who has any questions about cashless tolling, right now go to driveks.com, and everything's down there. And then when you talk about your account, so if you talk about how am I going to deal with it, everything's going to be morphed into DriveKS anyway. So right now, DriveKS is an information site for cashless tolling. When we go July 1st, we're going to basically gather everything and morph everything into DriveKS, so your account management system, right? So no matter if I commercial or my passenger, my home account, whatever, all your ktag, all your vehicles, you can manage it right there at DriveKS. It'll be your management tool. You can do the app, you can go online and do it at your computer. Everything's gonna be ready, easy for you. So yeah. So again, if you want information, you can get you a my ktag right now. Get you a ktag right now. If you want more information about cashless, driveks.com. So
yeah, and all those links are in my description. So go click on them and find them.
Yeah. Well, just even a simple Google Kansas Turnpike. Go to ksturnpike.com. Just all our numbers and informations, emails, call us if you like to talk to a person. I have a call center, so you're going to be Kansans talking to Kansans.
Yeah,
so you have to worry that you're going to talk to someone across seas that doesn't talk English very well. It's someone right here in Kansas.
You're not going to get somebody that can't speak any English.
Right. So, but I'll say this: if you don't speak English, so you have Spanish, we'll have Spanish. We have Spanish interpreters that can help with that as well. So we've got everything in place for you. We try to help all our customers, and so we're there to help. So I know this is a great podcast about cool stuff, but if you have any information, if you have any questions about what I'm talking about, information, go to those sites or Google us and call us or send us an email or information. We want to answer your question.
Very good. Very good. So this is coming in the summer, and like he said, ktag makes it cheaper. Everything else is going to be billed by your license plate.
Yep.
So you'll see it in the mail, right?
You'll see it in the mail. It just going to listen. That's easy. I know it's easy, and it's still going to be cheaper than most states, but I want you to save money. Yeah. So again, it'll be half as much as if you don't have one. So if you like to save money, and time and headaches. And listen, if it's for your company and you're like, oh, well, I like to see the receipts, not a problem. You can go to your DriveKS, pull the receipt down, you can highlight your business stuff, print it off, send it or PDF it, send it to your company for your reimbursement, whatever. Whatever you think you need, we're going to have it for you. Yeah. It's going to be at your fingertips for you, so you can do everything you need to do. I mean, our technology is being upgraded. So there's a roadway upgrade. All our back office computers, our guts of our organizations being upgraded. We really now are a tech company. That's
awesome.
That's what tolling is, really.
That's what the future is. Everywhere,
And that keeps us more efficient. That's what we want to do to keep tolls low for you.
And no more slowing down to 20 miles an hour.
Nope. It's going to keep you at that speed, so you're going to.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a bit of a headache. That's why we're offering low tolls. I want everybody to know. So you think, it's going to be great and flow July 1st. Well, there's a little bit of a headache July 1st still. I want everybody to understand. So all the toll booths have got to be demoed. So although cashless
Ripped
on
out.
the main line, it starts July 1st, but we'll be spending the next year tearing out toll booths. So there'll be a little bit of headache in the lane. So enjoy those cheaper tolls, because I want you to understand. Thank you for dealing with some of that stuff right there at those toll booths. We got to rip those out, tear them out, redo the pavement, do some marking on that. So there's a little bit of a headache for a few months with that, but then eventually we'll get that all cleaned up and it'll be just a free flow of traffic.
That makes sense. Yeah. That's exciting, man. It's been probably pretty stressful for you, I'm sure, but it's also exciting at the same time.
I wish I could tell you I'm so tired and blah blah blah, but I tell you what, I got a great team. They are tired. Yeah. They from our my IT folks, communication folks, maintenance folks, even accounting folks, HR. It doesn't matter from A to Z. They've all played a part in what we're doing here, and I appreciate our board supporting us. But everybody, all hands on deck, have been dedicated to making sure we offer a great product, this new product for our customers.
So what does the future look like after all this gets done? I mean, I'm sure you're not even thinking about it, but...
Well, it's there is a future, and we are thinking about it. And I think one of the key things people probably don't know that, and then this is going to be July 1st. Well, then January 1 of 26, we're actually working on another project in Kansas City on US 69, which is an 8-mile stretch just north of Miami County through Overland Park. That goes up to the 435, and what that is a managed lane. So an additional third lane's being built each direction there on US 69.
Oh, wow.
And so you'll have the 2 free lanes, but then we'll have congestion, pricing, and a whole new managed lane. More information's coming about that in the future, and mostly in the Kansas City area. It's going to affect Kansas City, but that's a whole new project for us.
So still moving forward, yeah.
So we're expanding. So we can't sleep on just cashless. We have that US 69 project, and it's under construction right now. And then once they get up all the gantries and everything for us here, we'll start adding our toll information, our toll cameras.
Yeah.
It'll work the same way. Your ktag will work there. The pricing will be different up there because it's to help manage traffic.
Right.
It's so congested.
Because so many people are going into work in Kansas City.
And it's crazy in the Kansas City area right there in Overland Park. So
Yeah.
it's a managed lane for congestion. Prices will go up and down based on the traffic of the day, of the hour. Cheaper if it's not many people in that lane, more expensive if there's a lot of people in the lane, versus to kind of manage the traffic in both the 2 free lanes. Nothing's free, but the 2 traditional lanes of KDOT has, and then the toll lane. So that's our next project.
Wow,
More to come on that for sure.
That's some big city stuff right there. That's stuff you only really see near big cities.
Yeah,
isn't
so it's definitely out of our comfort zone. We've been the same 236 miles for almost 70 years, and here we go to expand outward into US 69. So as soon as we're done with cashless, it's definitely onto the new project.
Not to mention the fact that cashless is probably, well, it's definitely the biggest change the Turnpike has ever experienced, right?
It is. It is the biggest single change since we opened the doors.
Yeah.
I mean, ktag in the 90s, but really, this is a complete overhaul.
Was ktag 90s?
Yeah.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, mid-90s, yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought I was ahead of the curve when I got it like 10 years ago.
Well, again, but you were one of the 25-35%, right? So
Yeah.
now not that many people did have it. Now people get it, they understand it. But we had to put a fresh face on that. We had to rebrand ourselves.
Yeah.
We didn't do a good job of branding ourselves until we started saying, hey, listen, get a free one, get the sticker tags. Why don't you have it? We pushed a big brand out there, a big marketing blitz, and it's really flipped and changed where we've started, and now people get it.
Yeah. So the days of keeping your ticket and making sure you hold on to it in a safe spot are gone.
Are gone.
Flicking change into the
no
basket.
change. When I say cashless, I mean there's no cash anymore. So
Yeah.
we have people counting money in vault and taking to the bank, and it just no one to worry about that anymore.
That had to have been a lot of change too. Right?
Oh my
Those
gosh!
tolls.
So yeah, even though you're talking 140 million, but even still 30% of that all in quarters, nickels, dimes.
Yeah.
Maybe some
Because you have those people that pull up and all they have is their big.
That's all I got.
Picking through, trying to find the biggest ones.
A lot of money through our fingers, trying to deal with that. So we have canisters full and different things over the years, but yeah, it's all that headache goes away.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be a good thing for customers for sure.
I'm excited. I remember the first time I saw your big sign when I was coming from Oklahoma, I think, and it said Cashless Tolling 2024, which seemed far away back then. I think that was 1 or 2 years ago.
Yeah,
maybe.
it was.
And I'm like, what? Like, I've been looking forward to that for a while because I've been a ktag user so long. The slowing down, I'm like,
right.
Let's just streamline this.
It really announced it
through.
5 years ago. I cannot believe it's been 5 years.
Yeah.
And we had when COVID hit, we're like, are we still on track? Are we gonna slow down? I mean, everything good? And we just kept moving. We said, no, we got to keep moving. We'll get through this. And COVID was a short period of time. Traffic was down, but it came back, and so here we are. And people don't realize 37 million travelers last year. 37 million people are on the Turnpike.
How many people are in Kansas even?
4 million?
3 million?
3 plus, yeah. So it's not, again.
That's insane.
And I say, listen, I mean, people use it multiple times, right? So, but for a trip, there's 37 million trips last year alone. So, and we're still we're dragging a little bit pre-COVID from 2019. I think we'll be back to 40 million real soon. I think people are going to continue to move forward.
Yeah.
People are moving and going places more, and I think that's only going to grow. Communities are growing, and economy gets better and better, so people travel. So it's going to grow. So 40 million people. I mean, I think that's coming, and you know, it's a lot of change over the years. You know,
definitely, and you had the privilege of taking the biggest change under your wing, right?
Yeah, I'm proud to be part of it. I tell you what, I've been. Listen, I was proud to be part of Greensburg and what we did there. I'm proud to go to help other communities and do things. But man, I tell you what, I feel like I have the best public job in the state. So
what more could you ask for? You know,
I probably shouldn't ask for anything else. I just appreciate my board and my staff. I got a great team. You know, people that go out there complain about, I got this employee, that employee, I struggle with this or that. This I don't have those issues really. I mean, little things, right? Everybody
life
has
is
little
pretty
things.
good.
Yeah, but at the Turnpike, life's pretty good. Good, dedicated people. We have our senior team has a tenure of over 20 some years. People have been there. They care about it. They're there for a reason. And we care about our people and our customers. I think as long as we keep focused on that,
yeah,
I think life is going to stay good.
That's amazing, man. I'm glad to hear that. Did you want to touch any more at all on your story or your position?
I'd had notes and I didn't even look at them once. And I think, I always love to tell people again, I'm not taking any of your tax dollars.
Exactly.
I'm trying to earn your business.
I know. Let's make that clear.
I want to earn your business. So I'm looking in the camera and I'm telling on the mic here, I want to earn your business. So I want to offer a great product, a good, affordable product, safe product. I'm not taking your tax dollars. So if you're on me, I appreciate you. I want to make sure you and your family are safe and you're getting where you need to get. And so, yeah, but I think we've said everything we can. I just again learn more. You know, go to drivechaos.com.
Yep.
Let us know if you got feedback. We're always taking feedback, you know.
Yep.
We're constantly doing customer surveys and different things. In fact, we had 38,000 customer surveys this last year that told us that we had the right plan when it came to cashless tolling. So I really appreciate people. I mean, people care. They're caring about what's happening. They're giving us feedback. And so that's a big number. It's not like you're getting 100 or 200 people say, yeah, we like it or don't like it. I mean, 38,000 people, that's a lot.
Well, people know the way the world is moving, and we're embracing this. You know, it's a lot quicker. It makes life a lot easier than having to dig through your change cup holder. You know, there's always going to be people out there that are nostalgic about the old ways. And I miss seeing the people at the tolls, and I miss, throwing change in the basket. Yep. But the reality is the world is moving on. And
right.
You can't do that forever.
Well, and you can go check out stuff like we've got videos about this stuff on YouTube and different things. And I'm talking to customers just like that or older, toll collectors. Mm-hmm. I just interviewed a toll collector in one of our YouTube shows about, she'd been there, 40 plus years with us. She was I think the second woman ever hired as a toll collector because it's mostly a male dominated. Back in the 70s, it was male dominated. But she came in and she's great, and she appreciates the fact that she got to stay that long, and she loves the Turnpike and tells that story. But she understands things change.
They do.
And so we understood it was sensitive, and we were taking care of people and customers, keeping things affordable. That's the story we just keep telling, and I appreciate telling the story today.
It's a time in history. It's a piece of history. It came and went, and toll workers were a thing, tolls were a thing, and it's not going to be a thing much longer. I mean, I know it's not in Kansas anymore, but some places probably still have them. But here before long, that'll be one of those jobs that is just. Remember when they used to have those?
Yep. Yep. I get it. Listen, I mean, people still miss checkers at the grocery store or the carry out folks. I remember when I was a kid, I was a carry out at Dillon's. I was 14 years old. And so,
like a caboose on a train.
Yeah, but I also know you want me to make sure to offer a safe, reliable, more efficient, and affordable system. So you sometimes you got to be willing to evolve.
Well, the technology's there. It just if that would have been there when they made the Turnpike, they wouldn't have had people working the tolls.
It wouldn't have been that way.
The technology is now there that you can see everybody's license plate or read their ktag.
Yep,
that wasn't a thing, and so you had to have people there checking everybody and checking their tickets. So it's just the way of the world, Technology changes.
You're
everything.
absolutely right, and embracing that technology to fit your customer needs. That's what we've tried to do, and I think we're doing that. The key is, though, everybody will keep us accountable. Make sure we're doing it right. And listen, there's going to be hiccups. I mean, you're going to call in. We're going to have too many calls, and so you have to wait 10 minutes, or it may happen.
You'll hear from people.
We have the feedback, but
if you screw up and bill somebody that you're going to hear.
We'll hear about it, and we're going to fix it, and we're going to work on it, and we're going to get better. But bear with us. This is going to be a good long-term change, and here it comes. Like it or not, here it comes July 1st.
Yep. Well, I'm here to embrace it, man.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate letting us tell our story. Yeah.
For sure.
I appreciate the cool podcast. This is a great deal. I'm drinking a whiskey, a little bourbon. I'm telling our story. I mean, wow. I mean, my job is pretty cool, isn't it?
I appreciate
you got a cool
that
job. It's a cool gig here. Yeah,
I appreciate that, man. I want it to be laid back and just a conversation. I'm not here trying to get a soundbite for a news channel or anything.
Yeah,
like that.
no, I appreciate that. I can just be myself, and I'd rather do that.
Yeah,
feel like we have to be staged and
scripted
wear the suit and tie and do all that. I could just come in a vest and chill out in a pair of jeans and
just a conversation. Yeah. My whole goal is to try to ask you questions that everybody's wondering about this cashless tolling, or about Turnpike, or about how you even ended up in a position like you did.
I'll tell you what, pure luck, and sometimes you got to make that luck. And I just think we've worked hard over the years, and I tell my son all the time, I try to motivate and push people and try to help people understand that. Listen, I think it's important to have a focus and purpose, but also set your own goals and where you want to be, and good things will happen. Hard work. I still believe the old school hard work pays off.
Yeah,
and it's paid off for me, and I think it'll pay off from. My son plays baseball at Mays, and they're doing really well right now, and he's worked really hard to his senior year to start and do all that good stuff. And so I just think in life that's the thing. There's going to be ups and downs, and how you deal with that. So we're going to deal with ups and downs. We've had accidents and issues over the years. We're going to fix it. We're going to get better. We're going to help people. We're going to make I think we're just going to, and that's what I just believe in and always want to push.
Well, you've obviously been very successful, and you've gotten to the place where you want to be in life, and I love hearing that and respect that. I love hearing people like you talk about your story and all that. That's the whole basis of this, is I'm trying to learn from people like you what you did and how you got there and what does it take. So I appreciate you sharing.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you letting us talk about it, but this is where it's at. I mean, this is the future. And people I listen to podcasts when I'm driving to Topeka all the time.
Yeah.
I pop them in, always learning something, trying to find out what's going on in the world of business, politics, or anything else out there. And now I found your podcast. I was like, man, there's some cool stuff out there. Learning about all kinds of cool stuff.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
So everybody needs to subscribe and listen to this guy. It's good stuff. It'll keep you entertained when you're on the road or just hanging out at the house. Nothing better to do. Yeah.
Well, that means a lot, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
Did you have any other subjects you want to touch on, or
listen,
anything else you want to say?
No, I appreciate the opportunity to talk a little bit. Again, if you've got questions, push the website again, drivechaos.com. Check it out. All our stuff's on there. Learn about us. Get a ktag, whatever you want, But if you're ever honest and you got feedback, let us know. Listen, I don't care if it's stopping at a McDonald's or one of the Dairy Queens, or if it's bathrooms are bad, I want to know about it. If cars on the side of the road, I want to know about it. It's trash, I want to know about it. I mean, we want to make sure that everything's going the right way for us, and so in feedback and customers, we care about what you're telling us.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, definitely, dude. Definitely. I learned a lot today about this.
Good.
A lot of stuff that I had.
Great.
A lot of questions I had. And to me, it all makes sense. I know there's people out there it doesn't, and I'm telling you guys, this isn't a scam. They're not trying to take your money, raise your taxes.
Nope, no taxes.
It's a premium service provided to you to get you somewhere quicker, and you're going to pay for that because they're a business doing this basically privately, right?
Basically privately, yeah.
I mean, it's not government.
No government. So. No. I mean, created by the government, but we are an independent agency.
Yeah. All right, on, man. Do you have any other questions, Smurf? Good to go? All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Steve.
Yeah.
It was an honor to have you on. And
yeah. Thanks a lot.
Cheers.
Enjoyed this. Yeah.